Hello again, Rune Weavers, and welcome back to Rune Weaving with Birch. I know it's been a little bit of time since my last video. It's summer, what can I say? You gotta get out and enjoy it while it lasts. And speaking of time, today we're going to be talking about the rune Jera. This rune right here. You'll notice how this rune really stands out because unlike almost every other rune you'll see, it is in two separate parts. And that goes back to what it means. Jera is the rune of the year. 12 months to a year, and coincidentally, or perhaps not, Jera is the 12th rune. But first, let us talk about something from the Havamal. Number 80. Praise day at even, a wife when dead, a weapon when tried, a maid when married, ice when 'tis crossed, and ale when 'tis drunk. Hew wood in wind, sail the seas in a breeze, woo a maid in the dark, for day's eyes are many. Work a ship for its gliding, a shield for its shelter, a sword for its striking, a maid for her kiss. Everything in that verse 80 of the Havamal, which I opened to completely by coincidence, I swear, is talking about don't trust anything before you're absolutely certain of it. In modern day English, we have the saying, don't count your chickens before they hatch. And I think a lot of that, is something that Jera can remind us as well when we work with it. Jera comes to us from the same root as our own word, year. Though it is not an exact translation, fulfillment may be one of the best names for Jera if you are thinking of how to work with this rune magically. After all, what is fulfillment, if not the satisfaction of seeing what you have worked hard to achieve being put into practice around you? And that is the essence of Jera's magic. And when you look at the rune, the two parts, one part is for summer, one part is for winter. Those are the two seasons of the heathen calendar, and they spin and dance around each other. And I always thought I always like the way that the two pieces of Jera are dancing. It reminds me of the way that the seasons seem to dance around us, with the deep snows of winter melting away into the gray and brown puddles of spring, and then blossoming into the leafy greens of summer, with fields of wildflowers, until the trees themselves become a bright bouquet of reds and yellows, as fall comes around and brings chill winds that send the leaves to the ground, where they are soon buried beneath the freshly fallen snow. To know this rune, to really know this rune, it takes time. Pick a spot near your home. Watch how it changes, day by day, month by month, year by year. Do that for a dozen years, and you might have an inkling of the rune Jera. It's a gentler rune than some that you might encounter, if only because its magic and its power is slower, like the waxing and waning of the moon in the sky above us. It's not quick, it's not flashy, it's not going to come pounding down on you like Hagalaz or shake things up like Uruz. But that doesn't mean that what goes around does not come around again in the end. As we move this end of July out of the peak of summer and begin winding our year down again towards the winter, Jera reminds us that all things come to an end, and what we get at the end is what we have made at the beginning. And that's, I think, where the concept of fulfillment comes in. and the idea about what they're talking about in the verse of the Havamal, where you don't know what a thing can do until you've used it, until you've tried it. You don't know what that, what that new job, what that new home, what that, you know, what the consequences of your decisions are going to be until after you've made them, you know. But you can't live your whole life saying, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to do anything. That's not going to get you anywhere. You're never going to find the fulfillment or the meaning that you get from doing things if you don't try. But to everything, there has to be that season. There has to be the season for starting things new and the season for seeing things to their completion. Do both. Work with both. As a fertility rune, this rune is sacred to the gods of the fertile fields. Frey, Thor, and Sif. Sif of the golden hair and the ripening grains is, I think, one of the surviving stories that we can see from before. Her hair is cut off and then it comes back by the end of the story. And a lot, who knows, maybe Frey or Thor had other stories that were very similar but are lost to us. Because I think a big part of the mystery of the seasons and time is that nothing ever stays exactly the same. Things change. Things may come back. The leaves will fall from the tree and there will be new leaves in the spring. But you're never going to have that specific leaf or those specific leaves on that tree ever again. But that doesn't matter because there'll be new leaves. And then one day the tree will get old and the tree will fall and the tree will return to the earth and its nutrients will go into the soil, and then another tree will be born and grow up and have leaves. And that's just how it is. So if we think about the idea of rune weaving, I talk about how everything that you have woven, everything that you are in the process of weaving right this second, and everything that you're going to weave, those are all under the influences of the Norns and the Fates and the Weird and the Orlog and all that. But when it comes to rune weaving, Jera is the finished tapestry. It's the whole picture from beginning to end. And so if we think about the universe, from beginning to end, Jera is all of that. There is no need to rush with this rune because everything will eventually become this rune at the end of all things. So those are some little thoughts on Jera. I hope everyone's having a good evening out there, and blessed be, my rune weavers. Blessed be.